Korean. He's now a full-time leading Dharma teacher specializing in the translations of the Pali Sutras. So let's say sadhu 3 times to welcome Brother Piya Tan.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. I'm very happy to be here. This is my first talk in this new place. I used to give talks to you in Duku Road, if you remember. So it's nice to meet again. And I'm also told you are planning to have a nice new building, so you are growing. So this is your adolescent period, so you have to struggle a bit. It's always nice to come together in one place in the Dharma. Okay? Even if your place is smaller than the previous one, the important thing is it keeps you together. All right? And what is amazing is we are all gathered here because of one man who 2,500 years ago struggled to find out what is it that human beings all face commonly and how to overcome this problem. And he made great sacrifices. He gave up his family so that we don't have to give up our families. And he suffered so much, 6 or 7 years of what is called self-mortification, so that we don't have to go through all those things. So he tried all those different ways to find out the truth. Then finally he discovered that it's not that difficult really. The most important thing is, as a Buddhist, to be happy. When you meditate, smile in your heart, be happy. Then if you can have this kind of grounding, you already begin to live a Buddhist life. So wherever you go, people look at you and say, you're different from the others. How come you look so happy? If someone talks to you like that, I think you're carrying the spirit of Buddhism with you. And that is one of the most wonderful teachings you can practice. Okay? Because when they see that peace in your face, they are also seeing the Buddha. Because if you look at the Buddha's image, you see this Burmese Buddha, he's smiling. You notice that? Almost every image you see as a rule, there is a gentle smile, mihita, we say in Pali, because this represents that happiness that Buddhism is about. And it's a very subtle kind of smile, like not the loud, worldly laugh, but very gentle, very pervasive, very infectious kind of smile. Okay? It makes you happy. There are famous writers in the West who say just by looking at the Buddha image, they feel so peaceful, not even Buddhist. So this is the power of the Buddhist image. I can talk a lot about the Buddhist image, how first the Buddha said no images, and then the Greeks introduced their images, and the Buddhists got influenced, but perhaps we have another occasion for that. Today we're going to talk about how to see the Buddha. Can we see the Buddha after 2,500 years? He has passed away. The word seeing is very important in Buddhism. Anyone remember the Pali word for seeing? What is the Pali word? Dasana. Dasana. One of the blessings in the Mangala Sutta, Arya Satchana Dasanang. Seeing the noble truths. Etam Mangalam Uttamang. Is the supreme blessing to see. The idea of seeing in Buddhism means also to understand. For example, if someone tells you something, then you say, oh, I see, right? You understand. Okay? So to see the Buddha, you can say, is not only to see the image, because we don't always have the Buddha's image. For a few hundred years, there was no image at all of the Buddha. You only see an empty seat under a Bodhi tree. You see footprints. There's no person present, because the Buddha did not allow himself to be represented in human person. He says only the Bodhi tree will represent him. Then later, with Greek influence, the Buddha image started being accepted. Okay, so to see the Buddha is also to see Dharma. Now you all know the famous story. Where did this quotation come from? He who sees Dharma sees me. He who sees me sees the Dharma. To whom did the Buddha say this? Do you remember? Yeah, Wakali, he's probably a young man, Wakali, because he saw the Buddha at once. Wow, this great faith arose in him. You can even say immediately he fell in love with the Buddha, if you like. He just wanted to be there to see the Buddha. Today would be like a young teenager feeling crazy about one of those K-pop singers, So he became a monk just to see the Buddha, follow him around, And the Buddha knew this, just allow it to happen until he has to leave for the 3 months rains retreat. He tells Wakali, I have to leave, but you have to stay here. You're still a young monk. Wakali was devastated, very sad. The Buddha has to go away. And then the story went that he felt so bad, he felt so depressed. I'm cutting a long story short. You have to understand his mind. Probably a modern psychologist will be able to tell you a lot of things. I'm very interested in psychology of Buddhism, psychology of mythology. As you notice, I've written one book on psychology of mythology, telling you the meaning of the Buddha's life story. So here you see Wakali very depressed, and he attempted suicide, and he was going to jump. In fact, he kind of already jumped, And then the Buddha appears to him just at that time in a hologram, obasa, this very brilliant light. Of course, today we have the concept of hologram, so we kind of understand what's going on, right? Hologram, and then you see Star Wars, all those pictures, very futuristic. The Buddha appears to him. Of course, we are talking about meditation here. Also, the mind of Wakali, probably only Wakali sees him, but no one else there sees the Buddha. So imagine, this happens very fast, So here, this Wakali already jumped over the cliff, and the Buddha's beautiful, radiant image appears before him. And he's so happy to see the Buddha. Great joy arose in him. You can say dhyanic joy. So he has that ability. That is why the Buddha accepted him. So this is where we cannot look down on people. Sometimes they appear to be very worldly, but inside them there's this deep spirituality. So he was able to attain this jhanic bliss, and he had faith in the Buddha, and that moment seems to change his life. You can say basically he became an arhat at that time with all the powers. So I want you to imagine he jumped over the cliff. He's going to fall and die, right? But at that moment he got all these arhat's powers. He floated down very gently, quite a dramatic figure, right? Okay, this is a story in the Dhammapada verses, that how he became an arahat and how the Buddha kind of helped him along. Now, in between this story, when he was quite sick, there's another version. It seems there's more than one Wakali, The other Wakali, the story about him is he was very sick. Then the Buddha went to see him, and then he was kind of apologetic, said, I'm not done enough for you, I've not served you, and so on. Wakali was quite sad. But then the Buddha said, don't worry, he who sees the Dharma sees me. He who sees me sees the Dharma, right? This quotation is very significant. When you see the Buddha, what do you see? If you follow the suttas very carefully, the Buddha reminds us again and again, never look at him as a human being. He says even this body will rot, it will pass away. So when we look at the Buddha, what do we see? When we look at the Buddha image, what do we see? We reflect on the Buddha's virtues, yes. But the Buddha is also the embodiment of the Dharma. In the Garava Sutta, soon after the Buddha's awakening, one of the first things he did was he looked around. He says, who shall I bow down to show my respect? There is this tradition in India, you should always have a teacher to show respect to. Here, the Buddha is our teacher. We bow to the Buddha, okay? Our only teacher, okay? So he looked around and said, who shall be my teacher? Who shall I bow down to? There was no other awakened being at that time. But he said, still, this is not good, There must be someone I can bow down to, or at least something. Then he said, okay, I shall show my respect. Garava. Garava also means heaviness, You bow your head, very heavy. So I will bow down to the Dharma. This singular act, this one act the Buddha did, turned the whole of the Buddhism, his teaching, into a very special system, not a guru system. A system that's independent of it by itself, that can survive right down to our times. If the Buddha say, I am the way, I'm the only being you have to come to, listen to me, that's all, and then if he dies, that's the end, But by declaring the Dhamma is above him, the Buddha is amazing. He's a spiritual genius. He is declaring that the teaching is above him. Because Buddhas die, but the Dhamma does not die. So even after the Buddha has passed away, the Dhamma still remains with us. That's how, even today, we still have the Buddha Dhamma with us, because of this amazing act the Buddha did to place the Dhamma even above himself. That is why when we take refuge, we go to the Buddha, to the Dhamma, to the Sangha. 3 refuges, right? That is to show you the 3 main aspects of the teaching. But the reality is there's only one refuge. That's the Dhamma. It is the Dhamma that legitimizes the Buddha, that is the Buddha. It is the Dhamma that makes all the great saints, the path saints, the streamliners, the ones-returner, non-returner, and the Arhat. So this is, you see the Dhamma when you see the Buddha. Now, if you look at Buddhism today, what divides the Buddhists today is how we view the Buddha's death. That's the other aspect of the Buddha, the passing away of the Buddha. The Buddha was born a human being, and this is a very important fact. That means any of us here can also attain the same awakening as the Buddha. This is the 2nd sutta you must remember, the Sambuddha Sutta. In the Sambuddha Sutta, this in Sangyutta also, the Buddha declares that the awakening of the Buddha and the awakening of the Arhat are both the same. What is the difference? There's only one difference, the Buddha says, that the Buddha comes first. He discovers the way, he shows the way. The Arhats come after him. Today, we have a modern Latin saying, what is it? The first among equals. Primus inter pares. Okay? The first among equals. So this is another very important statement the Buddha made. Arhat's awakening, same as Buddha's awakening. Alright? But as the years passed, after the Buddha passed away, things began to change. The philosophers, the thinkers, the theologians, there are Buddhist theologians, by the way, they started introducing all these new ideas. They say, the Arhats are not really awakened yet. They still need to awaken. I don't know where they got all these ideas from. And then the Buddha also not fully awakened yet. And I said, wow, where do you get all these ideas from? I have a friend who teaches that, He did not meet me because I asked him all this question. He got no answer. You see? I say, look, all these suttas are very clear. Same, awakening is the same. I mean, if you get out of prison, it's the same, You're free. How can you say my freedom more than your freedom? It's freedom, right? But the important thing, the suttas are very clear about this. There's no difference in the awakening. Only the Buddha came first. So remember, Sambuddha Sutta or Samma Sambuddha Sutta. Okay? So we who follow the early Buddhist teachings, or Theravada if you like, consider the Buddha a human being, he passed away, and we accept it. No problem with that. In fact, by the Buddha passing away, he only authenticates, he legitimizes, in other words, he proves his teaching true. If he didn't die, his teaching is false, because he talks about impermanence. The most important thing, one of the very basic teaching of Buddhism, the first characteristic is anicca, impermanence. So if the Buddha is not impermanent, something is wrong, isn't it? The Buddha also passes away. But it doesn't matter to us, because the Dhamma is eternal, sanantana Dhamma. right? It's always there. The Dhamma doesn't change in the sense that the truth of change is always ongoing in that sense. But the other group, after the Buddha has passed away, cannot accept the passing away of the Buddha. Now, if you look at some very interesting, some Japanese paintings of the Buddha's Mahaparinibbana, there's one very beautiful painting, you can see it on the internet, by the way. It's this big tapestry of the Buddha's passing away. Lots of animals also seem to be crying, with the Buddha's passing. Beautiful, amazing. And then there are so many other people, even monks are crying, and the Indians traditionally will roll on the ground in grief. And then you look carefully, you see some of the individuals there, shaven-headed, wearing robes, sitting very calmly. Those, of course, are the arahats, right? So the arahats, they know the Buddha will pass away. They're very calm about it. Sariputta says, I fear not death, nor do I enjoy death. When it comes, I welcome it like receiving my pay, like a worker receiving his pay. So he just said that. He said, it's okay, I have no problem with that. Then, so you see these arahats are very calm when Buddha passed away, but the unawakened are very troubled. So these philosophers are very troubled that the Buddha passed away because they were being challenged by other religions. They say, look at your teacher, he's dead, but my teacher lives forever. Is this God, that God, So they had this difficulty. They thought, oh, how can the Buddha pass away? His Dharma is eternal, So they came up with all these ideas that the Buddha is eternal. All those so-called eternal Buddhas who are not born or not dead. This is difficult, because it's like a God idea. Now, just a quick note here. How did they get all these ideas? I think one reason is because of what happened in what is today called Afghanistan. If you imagine the picture of South Asia, you have India, you've got Ashoka, right? That's Theravada Buddhism. Around the same time, within a century or two, further to the northwest, there is Afghanistan. And what empire is that? Do you remember? It's called the Kushan Empire. Kushan, yes. The Kushan Empire is strongly Mahayana. Because the emperor there, Kanishka especially, he was interested in running his empire, unifying his empire. That there is a saying, by one Roman philosopher. He said something like, to the common people, religion is true. To the wise, religion is false. To the king, religion is useful. You get the idea? So the emperor used all the religions in his area, he patronized them, so that he becomes the head of all the religions. And that's a great way of getting respect from the people. And what are these religions that he patronized? Yes, Buddhism, but also the Persian religion. The Persian religion is very powerful at that time. A religion called Manikism. They believe in the light and darkness. Light is the great good God, And then in Buddhism, we have the Buddha of great light, you see. So all this very interesting comparison. There's not much study done here, but it's a very interesting suggestion that all these ideas started during this empire. And this is a very big empire, see. All those people who wanted to go to China must pass through this area, the Silk Road. So the ideas they brought to China, all these new Mahayana ideas. So this is a different development, especially those who can't accept the Buddha's death. They feel that you can see the Buddha, he's still somewhere up there. Right? So that's not the way that I'm talking about today. When I say that we see the Buddha within us, in our actions. For example, why do we bow down 3 times? There are many ways of explaining this. One way is, the first time I bow down is I bow to the Buddha, my only teacher. Okay? Second time I bow down to the Dharma, the true teaching. Third time I bow down to the noble Sangha, the arahats and the non-returners and the once-returners and the stream winners. So these are our 3 bows. Okay? There are many other ways you can reflect. For example, first time I bow down to the truth that everything is impermanent. Second bow, everything is dukkha. Third bow, everything is non-self. You bow calmly, reflecting on this. Okay? So these are ways to see the Buddha right here before us in his Dhamma. All right? So what we see here are conditions, right? So, for example, there are people who admire the Buddha's beauty. They say, oh, the Buddha is very handsome and so on and so forth. The Buddha said, what is this body? You know, it's nothing but this body is form made up of the four great elements, born from mother and father, built up on rice and porridge, subject to impermanence, rubbing and pressing, breaking up, crumbling away. Now, this is the definition of the body for us to reflect. You know? I like the part about porridge. You know, you see, the Buddha has a lot to say about porridge. You know, he told the monks, says porridge is very good to eat. Kumasa in Pali, kumasa. Okay, because it's watery. It keeps you healthy. One reason is because if you eat too much rice, especially if you are older than 50, like myself, you eat too much rice, you put on weight very easily. But if you eat a lot of watery porridge with some vegetables and some other things that you like, you get full quite fast. And somehow you will maintain the healthy weight. So the monks are advised to take porridge. Right? So here the Buddha says his body is sustained by rice and porridge. And this body goes to change the four elements and so on. Okay. All right, so what I'm doing now is I'm asking a question. What do we see? Okay, when you see the Buddha, what do we see? There are four words. What do we see? Okay, so for the rest of the talk, I'm going to talk about each of these words. Right? First, I'm going to talk about what. All right. So, what is the body? You see the body, right? Okay. So the Buddha said, well, this body is impermanent, you know, made up of the four elements. Now, it's very important to understand when the Buddha is talking about anything, even in the Aganya Sutta, for example, about the evolution of the universe, he's not talking science. Now, some scholars like to find mistakes. They say, oh, you know, this is not exact science and so on. The Buddha is not talking science here. The Buddha is telling this amazing story, which is very close to modern science, by the way. No other religion has given such a story of the evolution of the universe. What the Buddha is talking about there is he's trying to explain how society changed, and the Brahmins, making false statements, talking about higher caste, lower caste, and being born pure, and so on. Right? So he's using all these amazing ideas to teach us, not science but Dharma. So there's nothing to prove wrong here in terms to compare to worldly knowledge. The Dharma is about Dharma, not about modern science. So we're not worried about whether it's exactly same as modern science or not. If it coincides, fine. If it doesn't matter. So the four elements must be understood in that spirit. The Buddha said our body is made up of the four elements. For example, if you talk about the five aggregates, the first aggregate is rupa, form. You can reflect on form in two ways. One is as the four elements, earth, water, fire, wind. Another way is reflect as the five faculties, panchendriya, eye, ear, nose, tongue, body. Okay, 5 ways. So if you look at the body as four elements, what does it mean? We are first made of earth. Earth are solid parts, bones, teeth, and so on. Second, water. Of course, we are mostly liquid. Water is just a term for liquid. This stickiness, cohesiveness. And number 3, earth, water, fire is heat of our body, digestion, and very important, decay. Decay. We today call it oxidation. So you find all this health food that tell you antioxidant this, antioxidant that, right? So it talks about fire of decay. And then you have wind. Wind is movement. The air that comes in, the air that goes out. The oxygen in our blood, the gases in our body. So these are the four elements that we are. So you can reflect on these four elements in your body too. That way too you will see the Buddha, because you see his teaching. So this is the what. Now, so the next one is, what do we see? Now I'm going to talk about see. The act of seeing something, not just with your physical eyes. The Pali word for physical eyes is akhi, physical eyes. The physical eyes cannot function by itself. Okay? But the usual word that is used in terms of Buddhist psychology and Buddhist doctrine is chakku. Right? So they differentiate between the eye as faculty, which is chakku, and the eye purely as a blob. That's akhi. Akhi is not so commonly used in the suttas. So what do we see? When you look around, what do you see? What I mean is, if you look very deeply, not just on the surface. We all are very good in putting up surfaces. We all wear masks the moment we leave our toilet and houses, because we want to present the best facade to the world, right? Maybe not so much when you come to a Buddhist center like this. You come here naturally. You're not going to work. You're not going to a party. So you come here quite relaxed. I like to dress simply. Now, I've been my wife and I have been full-time lay Buddhist workers for about 50 years now. Maybe my wife less, of course. And it never occurred to me to wear something nice, like maybe a Mao collar or some nice uniform to show, hey, I'm a full-time Buddhist worker, or wear some kesha, as they call, like a sash. We don't have to go around telling people, I am a full-time lay Buddhist, because it's a work that you do. It's not a status that you show people. So the point is, to be a full-time lay Buddhist is something like lay renunciation. It's like giving up some things in life, the little pleasures in life which don't really matter, to have more time for the Dhamma. Lay renunciation is meaningful, By you all coming here, it's a very wonderful reflection you should do today. You come here, you recite the precepts, you come here for yourself, for no one else, for the Buddha maybe. You keep the precepts. It's a reflection on Sila Nusati. So remember this wonderful moment, because it will help you in your meditation. Right? Don't think of the negative things. Think of this happy moment. Now, coming back to the question, what do we see when we look around? So despite all this facade, in every one of us there is some pain, some suffering. Now, I use the word pain, I use the word suffering, two different words, Something we can recall now, very easy thing to recall. Pain is natural, suffering is optional. Have you heard this saying before? Pain is natural, suffering is optional. We cannot really stop pain because of our body. This body made out of the four elements, because the four elements are very unstable. Too much earth element, you feel tired. You sit too long, you feel tired, right? You stand too long also, you feel tired. You walk too much also, you feel tired. You lie down too much also, you feel tired. The rest, what we call rest actually, is a change in the four postures. So, this is called pain, because of the four elements, because of the body. You can't escape this, natural, because of the physical nature of the body. Suffering is how we react to this pain. If you scold the pain, that's suffering. You stop scolding the pain, that is not suffering. So don't make the pain bigger than it is, right? That's why in meditation, our teachers will tell us, when you see pain in your meditation, just smile at it. If it goes away, then you continue your meditation. Because smiling and pain are what is called incongruous. You normally don't smile at the pain. You say, oh, so painful, I want to go home, But then you suffer, see? But if you smile, you're saying, oh, it's just pain. I'm living the pain on the body level. Why? Because you're practicing what's called the teaching of the two pains. This is found, the Buddha gave this teaching to Nakulapita. Okay? This old man came to see the Buddha and said, Bhante, I'm an old man, give me some simple teaching. I can't take too long, too deep teaching, simple teaching. The Buddha said, okay, just remember this. Actually, the Buddha gave him a mantra. Remember this. My body may be sick, but my mind will not be sick. This is something very important to remember whenever you visit sick friends, sick people. Sooner or later tell them, always reflect, my body may be sick, but my mind will not be sick. We do have a choice when the mind is concerned. So you got bodily pain, mental pain. The Buddha and the Arhats suffer bodily pain, but not mental pain. That's the big difference. So you have a choice. How do we do this? Through mindfulness, through meditation, and lots of loving kindness. You notice a mother who is very happy because the son has come back from overseas, doing all the cooking, never get tired, that's one thing. Number two, she gets a cut also, never mind, put plaster, continue working. Very happy, right? Because she's happy. So if you're happy, pain doesn't really matter. So remember, this is how we see suffering. It is something we can change, something we can let go of. All right? Now the next one is, so the word is what do we see? I've talked about what, I've talked about see, right? Now I'm going to talk about do. What do we see? Okay, let's examine the word do. What do we do? Okay, so do here is a kind of action, right? A kind of so when we actually do something as a Buddhist, when we act, what's going on? When we act, everything is changing. All these actions are impermanent. So this is the reality that happens. When I'm talking now, what's happening? This wind is going through my nose, into my lungs, and then it comes out, hitting my vocal cords. It makes some funny sounds, which you understand because you have learned English since childhood. And then you also learn some basic Dhamma terms, so you know what I'm talking about. But everything is changing. What you are listening to is change. Do you see that? On very deep level. Okay? Now if you reflect in this way, it's amazing. You'll be very happy. When someone talks to you, you are experiencing change. When you are happy, you are experiencing change. When you are sad, you also experience change. In the Chula Vedala Sutta, there's a very interesting question-answer, It says about suffering and pain. Pain is suffering when it persists, but pain is joyful when it changes, when it ends, right? Pleasure is wonderful when it persists. Pleasure is painful when it changes. So pleasure and pain, they're actually the same thing. They are just the two sides of the same experience, if you like. The experience of change. Now if you continue like that, reflecting on change, this is one of the most beautiful discoveries I made when I moved to Singapore in 2001. I discovered this number is very important. I want you to remember. S25. How many of you have heard of that code, S25? You know what S25 means? Anyone? Sangyutta Nikaya, chapter 25. Now I want you to, one of these days, maybe later today, you go to there's so many translations. Go to this translation, Sangyutta Nikaya translation, turn to chapter 25 of Sangyutta Nikaya. There are 10 suttas there. The first sutta is called Anicca Chakku Sutta. The eye is impermanent sutta. Now all the suttas talk the same thing, only different topics. There the Buddha says, if you constantly reflect that the eye is impermanent, the ear, nose, tongue, body, mind is impermanent, you will attain stream winning in this life. I remember the last time I gave you a talk, I said the very same thing to you. I don't know how many of you remember this, but I'm telling you this again because this is a very important thing. In the Buddhist tradition, we often repeat things which are very important in our life that leads to awakening. In this sutta, the Buddha guarantees if you reflect that all these are impermanent, all your experiences are impermanent, the Buddha says in this life itself you will attain stream winning, the very first real step on the path. 7 lives at the most, you attain full awakening. Finally, the Buddha says, if you do not get it in this life, you will get it at the very last moment of that life, the passing away. You know, the passing away moment, we don't have any control. It's the momentum. In other words, your habitual karma will take over. And what is your habitual karma? Everything is impermanent, everything is impermanent, you're looking, everything is impermanent. When you're happy, you say it's impermanent and you smile. When you feel something sad, you also smile, it's impermanent. You're always happy. And the benefit of this is you will gain stream winning in this life itself. Now, don't take my word for it. Go back, read one of those 10 suttas and choose one for yourself to practice. S25. Okay? So this is what you do. This is what you must do. Reflect on impermanence. And then the last one. So I've said, what do we... now it's we. Let's talk about we, okay? We is, of course, you can say I, you know. But we know all this don't exist. These are just words, right? And we reflect on non-self. So this is going a little deeper. So if you like, you can reflect. People are changing. You know, since I came to Singapore this year, I've been training students, Buddhist students, for the last 50 years. Since I was like 20-something as a monk, you know. Then I was 20 years a monk, 40 years old, I left the order. Now, let me get my age right again. I think I'm going to be 70, right? I'm very bad in numbers. I'm going to be 70. Okay? So, I have this Facebook, you know, and some of these old friends say hi. When I look at them, I say, wow, they're really old friends, because they've grown very old. Imagine, recently I gave a talk, quite some time ago, I gave a talk in the BF. Wilson was still president there, you know Wilson Ang, right? He introduced me. He said, this was my teacher in NUS 40 over years ago. I said, wow, that long? I never thought it would be that long. And 40 over years ago, I taught him Dhamma in the NUS, and there he is back in circulation, you know. I said, sadhu, Dhamma is wonderful, you know. So, he's still young, you know, he's still young, but I'm old. So you can imagine the difference, 30 years difference, right? So people change. There's no I, right? So this one is a bit difficult to reflect, okay? But you know roughly what it is. Now the last part. So having said all this, what do we see? You have to learn to see. And what's the best way to learn to see? Is to study the suttas. You know, today, unlike ever before, the Buddhist teachings are available so easily at the point of a button on the internet, libraries, even bookshops. It's an overflow of information nowadays, too much information sometimes. And people can say, I don't like to read books, you know. They like PDF, you know, all those soft copies, they say. When I was a young Buddhist, you know, over 50 years ago, we don't have all these books. It's amazing, within one lifetime you can see this big quantum leap, you know, in Buddhist literature, Buddhist books and writing. That's one reason why I take so much trouble in writing, doing Buddhist research, because I love Buddhist research. I translate Buddhist suttas almost every day. I try to take a break, but I can't. Somehow I get drawn back, because it's such a joyful thing to do. So, sutta discovery is what I'm doing now. What I'm saying here is, you have to go back to the suttas. If you don't study the suttas, you are at the mercy of all those marketplace gurus and teachers. Everybody got something to say about Buddhism now, whether east or west, north or south. And the things they say, I don't know what they're saying. you know, because it's not what the Buddha said. You find a lot of fake Buddhism on the internet nowadays. Buddha said this, Buddha said that, you know where. I always ask, where did the Buddha say? Can you please tell me what reference do you have? You need a reference. Huh? So either you remember the sutta's name or the sutta reference. So it's no excuse we don't read the suttas. Choose a simple sutta, at least S25.1. Read it up. It will bring you the goal of what the Buddha taught. Reach the path in this life. So, study the suttas, you build up your wisdom. You will not be cheated by fake Buddhism, fake gurus. The next thing is do some meditation. If you find meditation difficult, simple mindfulness. Mindfulness is simply to tell yourself everything is impermanent. You get angry, impermanent. You lose a job, impermanent. You lose a job, don't say I lost a job, say I'm currently job free. And then enjoy it, because it won't last long, you know. You get a new job, and then you go back to working again, right? Everything is impermanent. The next thing you wake up, you find you're 70 years old. Right? So, reflect on that. And then you find, wow, you're so happy. Because you live life one day at a time. That's the only life there is. I wrote a saying on my Facebook. I invite you to join my Facebook. It's a really fun place. I call it Early Buddhist Facebook, you know. We are quite strict there. We keep the 5 precepts there. So no nonsense, no trolls. And we got an international classroom there. Because my students overseas, they love it because they learn Dhamma there. I wrote something like, you have only one life. There are 2 days in your life you can do nothing. There are 2 days in your life you can do nothing. That is yesterday and tomorrow. Those 2 days you can do nothing. Only today you can do something. Today is the only day of your life, so you better live it well. And this is the day in your life you should see the Buddha. All right, go back to the historical Buddha. Study the teachings he has given us. Then we are true heirs of the Dhamma, because that's what he wants us to inherit, the suttas. When you do that, then you will truly see the Buddha. Okay, so I'll stop there for the moment. If you have any questions, please, you're welcome to ask.
That you're talking about is Piya.
Correct, yes. I also have a website on the suttas, but currently it's down because of some technical problem. We're migrating to a more affordable web host, and there's some technical issues there. So it will take us at least a few more days. All the suttas are there. So currently, you go to Facebook, you look for Piya Tan, you'll get some early teachings there. I call the Buddhism I follow early Buddhism. So don't follow any particular group. Early Buddhism means you study the suttas, you practice the meditation, you know, without really needing to say what kind of Buddhist you are. No need to call ourselves anything. Buddha's time, they never call themselves anything anyway. Okay? Oh yeah, you join up and you just write a note there, you're from here, I'll welcome you. Otherwise I have to question you. Sorry?
We just put a message to say that.
Yeah, you just say you're from here. I got lots of funny people, you know, some beautiful girls. I said, well, why is they coming for, you know? So I have to ask them, what is your Dharma practice? No answer. That means I know these people are not really Buddhists. You know, some of them are very strange people. Some of them are from Africa, you know, they con all these Buddhists. Yeah, they're fantastic stories. They're very sophisticated now. Be very careful with this con man. Huh? One of them, you know what he said? He said, oh, you know, I'm a Buddhist, you know, and my father is against me being a Buddhist, and I'm going to finish my final year, and he's not going to support me. So our good Buddhist say, oh, okay, how much money do you need? I said, how do you know this person is bona fide, you know? Just be careful, you know, don't simply give money over the internet. Huh? Because you need this money for your Buddhist work, Buddhist temples and centers, okay? All right. Yes.
I went to Wat Ananda temple, but it's a different kind of meditation because I started just a relaxation. Because my main thing is for relaxation, you know, the thing they talk about, I think, 40 kind of meditation.
Okay.
They are like starting from the beginning, Vipassana, a lot of, so because I know you have been in meditation.
Yes.
Buddhism meditation is a lot, is it?
40, but roughly 40, yeah. But you don't have to do everything. Yeah.
But it's really different.
Yeah, well, the 40 methods are after 45 years of the Buddha's teaching, so they collected the main types that the Buddha taught. But if you study the suttas carefully, the Buddha also gives very personalized meditation to different people. The most famous is the teaching, the meditation that the Buddha gave to Chula Pantaka. Remember Chula Pantaka? Yeah, remember the story or not? What is the teaching the Buddha gave, that meditation? The famous cloth meditation, remember? Right? Rajo Haranang, Rajo Haranang. Raja means dust, dirt. Aharanang, take away. So if you translate literally, take away dirt. But Rajo Haranang, and that is very interesting because the Buddha sometimes uses terms in other religions because people are familiar with them. Rajoharana actually is a Jain term. The Jain use like a what do you call that, feather duster made of feathers, and they sweep the ground in front of them so you don't step on bugs. They're so careful about the first precept. So the Buddha used the same word. It's just a word, Rajoharana. Sweep away. So this is just a word to keep the mind of Chula Pantaka on what he's doing. And so he's rubbing this clean cloth with his hand. He sits facing the east. That's another interesting point, whether you notice or not. The east is the rising sun. See, because if you sit in the forest, it's quite cold, So it's facing east. The sun rises, you feel the warmth, right? So that's the symbolism. So he was sitting there quietly, rubbing, cleaning, And he saw the clean cloth became dirty. And then what did he do? He said, oh, look at that. This clean cloth getting dirty is impermanent. There you are, you see? Impermanent. He was just reflecting on this dust gathering, and he was doing anicca sanya. Anicca sanya is a very simple meditation anyone can do. Even right now. We're going to end our talk already. So it's impermanent, anicca sanya. All right, so it's impermanent. He became an arahat by doing that. I think one reason is because the Buddha knew exactly what to tell him. Before that, he was going to give up as a monk, He was going, because his brother said, you're so dumb, you can't even remember 4 verses to chant. How are you going to get dana from the people if you don't bless them, So he was actually quite depressed, was going to give up. And the Buddha was not like that. The Buddha went up to him and said, okay, I will teach you meditation, you do this. So even the very stupid person can become arahats, but the clever ones get left behind. Right? So it's a personalized meditation. You see, so it's not always the traditional breath and so on. Those are the standard ones. Breath, loving kindness. Of course, the most important is the breath meditation, which the Buddha himself used. And then loving kindness is the one that's popular all around, which the Buddha also teaches. So these two are very important. All right? You don't have to sit for long hours. No need to attain jhanas. All this jhana talk is now almost like business talk. The idea is to sit calmly. You can get jhana, good. You don't get jhana, it's okay. Of course, the monks are encouraged to get jhanas, but lay people are so busy, I don't think it's easy for any lay person to attain jhana. But then again, if you sit very calmly during long holidays, you find you feel so peaceful, and that peace is really wonderful. It is forever. I mean, just imagine, the last 16 years I've been translating suttas. Every day, almost every day, or let's say every week at this, translating suttas. 16 years. Some people just tell them read one sutta, they say boring already. So, what is it that keeps me going for 16 years? Either I'm mad, or I love computers, or the suttas make me very happy. Because when I do the sutta, I say, wow, this is interesting. Why did the Buddha say this? I've learned to respect the sutta very deeply. Sometimes I look at the sutta, I say, oh, the sutta is so simple. the Buddha said this, and then this person asked that, and then that's the end, you know. But then you study carefully what the Buddha said. It's very interesting. For example, the latest sutta I'm translating, it's a pair of suttas, you know. They have no specific name, so I gave the first one. I gave the name Vacchagotta Moggallana Sutta. Vacchagotta goes to Moggallana and asks him question. Then in the second sutta, it's almost the same topic. Vacchagotta goes to the Buddha, and then he goes to Moggallana. So this one I call Moggallana Vacchagotta Sutta, because they are, from the two names you will know they're interconnected. Now these two suttas, Vacchagotta Moggallana Sutta, S44.7 I think, and Moggallana Vacchagotta Sutta, S44.8, they are what are called mirror suttas. Have you heard of mirror suttas? So there you are, a new term is born, you know, or mirroring suttas. In other, this sutta is divided exactly into half. In the first half, Vacchagotta goes to Moggallana and asks him, what do you think? Is the self permanent or impermanent? That sort of question, the 10 questions, you know. They ask all the 10 questions. And then Moggallana answers standard. The Buddha did not declare anything of these 10, you know. 1, 2, 3, up to 10, right? So he asks why, you know. And then Moggallana says, well, you know, Vacchagotta asks, why do the wanderers deal with these topics? And why doesn't the Buddha deal with this topic? So Moggallana said, well, you know, these wanderers, they have self-views. Whereas the Buddha said, there's no self in all these things. So I said, okay. Then he leaves Vacchagotta. He goes to the Buddha. He asks the Buddha the same question. And this is one man, one wanderer, who keeps asking the same question to the Buddha for many, many years. Okay. So you find in the Samyutta Nikaya chapter 33 and Samyutta Nikaya chapter 44, 33 especially, it's called Vacchagotta Samyutta. All questions by him, and all the same question, the 10 theses, the 10 topics, you know. Chapter 44, only 3 suttas about him. So he goes to the Buddha and asks Buddha the same question. And the Buddha said, no, I don't teach all this. And again he asked the Buddha why. Okay? And the Buddha gives the exact same answer as Moggallana. So what the sutta is saying is, the amazing part is that, as declared by Vacchagotta, I said, wow, this is wonderful, amazing, you know, Acharya. You know? That teacher and disciples say the exact same thing. So he's amazed that the teaching is standard, you see? All right, so this is the first mirror sutta. Now in the second one, which is the Moggallana Vacchagotta Sutta, he goes to the Buddha first. He asks the same question again. Okay, he's one pesky man. You know? He keeps asking the same question, but the Buddha gives different answers each time. So the Buddha again says, "No, I don't, you know, deal with such questions." And then again he asks why, but this time the Buddha says, "Okay, the wanderers, they have these 4 self-views, whereas in the first sutta there are 3 self-views, but this one is 4. The difference in the kind of self-views, okay." So, and in the first sutta, the topic there are the 6 sense bases, ayatanas. Whereas in the second sutta, it is the 5 aggregates. That's the difference, eh? So again, the Buddha said all these things, and then Vacchagotta goes to Moggallana and asks the same question. And then Moggallana answered with the exact same words as the Buddha, and they didn't consult each other, you know. So again, Vacchagotta is amazed. Said, wow, this is amazing that teacher and pupil gave the same answer. So you see, there are 2 suttas here. They are both mirror suttas, you know. So I put them together in one chapter to show how sometimes the suttas are taught, you know. And so this is like with sutta discovery. You discover new things. And sometimes there are very difficult problems which even some translators could not answer, you know. So imagine I got no one to ask, you know. I look around the world, I say, wow, which monk can I ask? I can hardly think of the number of monks in my hand, you know. There are only 1 or 2 monks I can write to. And the only one monk replies me intelligently, compassionately. That is Achan Brahmali. Yeah? He gives me very good answers that helps me to continue my work. Other monks give a lot of talks, but when you have a serious question, they can't answer. So I feel quite sad about that. So maybe it's a difficult question anyway. So when I get this answer, wow, this is wonderful. So I must put it in the suttas. That is why the sutta discovery is so interesting. It's like detective work. Imagine you go into this ancient tomb, you know, like in Egypt or what, and you discover all these ancient teachings or writings, and you don't know what they mean. And then you decipher them, and then you find, wow, they lead to ancient treasures, right? That's the suttas. All right. Any other question? Yes, sure.
Can I ask a question about meditation for a little boy about 8 years old?
Okay.
He was taught in school about mindfulness meditation.
Yes.
And the problem is this little boy, at times in class, he can't focus. So how to get him, train him to be mindful or focus on the...
Yeah. The best way usually is to bring the student for class. Children meditation is my wife's specialty because children tend to, accept women more easily. I'll just answer you a bit of theoretically, see what can be done. For children, of course, you got to find out what is their aptitude, how much can they take, all right? Ideally, if they can do breath, that's good. So teach them simple breath. You can't teach them the full scale that adults do. Maybe just tell them, okay, do something simple like you breathe in, you say, may I be well. Breathe out, may I be happy. Okay, breathe in, pictures a happy time in your life, your favorite tree you've climbed, and you breathe in. And breathe out, think of your favorite pet or whatever, something like that. You got to be a bit imaginative.
And that will be about how long for this meditation?
Again, up to the boy. Usually a few minutes is already a long time for them. So you tell them whenever you are afraid, whenever you're angry, you do this. So you must tell them when to do it also. Okay? Another method is counting, So it's very easy for children. You say count, okay? Breathe in, you count 1. Breathe out, you count 1. In, 2, out, 2. Counting in pairs, that's one way. Up to 5. Don't go more than 5 or 10 at the most. Another way, of course, is in 1, out 2, in 3, out 4, up to 6, or up to 10. But not less than 6, not more than 10. Okay?
Not for too long.
Again, up to him. Say, once you feel you want to stop, you stop. Okay? Like that. You must remember that the child Siddhartha, how old was he when he first did his meditation? Do you remember? You know that book I gave you? The Miraculous Life of Gautama Buddha? I mentioned in great detail about the first jhana. He was 7 years old, where he got into deep jhana, Imagine a 7-year-old child can get into jhana. So we're talking about a spiritual prodigy here. That is why he became the Buddha, So in some cases, children can be very good in meditation also. But don't force them, never force them. Then they'll hate meditation, they never do it. Just tell them this makes you happy. And then when they're afraid, you say, okay, you think of your favorite friend, Right, still living. Now don't choose that person, still living, something like that. All right? So loving kindness is very easy. Think of your happiest moment, think of your favorite pet, animal, very happy, like that, Yeah. So either one. See, some children are better with breath, some are better with loving kindness. Right? The thinking on probably more breath, the more social bound probably they're more attuned to loving kindness. Okay?
But with this practice for some time, will he be more focused in class, or sometimes he just get distracted?
Yeah, you got to monitor them and ask them questions, and then you got to know how to help them along, encourage them basically. There could be other learning problems. Very often children who do not pay attention in class is either dyslexia or attention span problem. So you got to detect. Sometimes they're very intelligent, so it's just that you got to find out what's wrong. Dyslexic children usually are intelligent. It's just that they have difficulty reading. So these are things you got to discover early. All right?
But I did ask him. He said he find more. Sometimes I find the teacher's teaching is more.
No, did you check whether you got dyslexia or not? Got to check all that. Reading problems, you have problem reading?
I don't think he got.
No, But then you either get an expert to check, see any other specialist problem or not in terms of learning. Otherwise, some people are late learners, late bloomer. So they start quite late. I consider myself a late bloomer, I think. I started, I just learned things I like in those days, I like reading, I like writing, but I hated sitting in class. I like kind of doing my own research, so I write my own things. And when I like my own thing, I will write a lot. So you can never know. So the important thing is just be with them, listen to them, question them, and help them along with their mental training. Even if they don't get it, later in life there's something waiting for them, something that they are good in. It doesn't mean what we give them, what education system give them is good. They could be good in other things. Maybe they are supposed to become some great artist or great film producer. You can never know these people, right? Okay, any other questions? Yes.
Meditation again.
Sure.
So say if we are able to sit for 1 hour or 2 hours in the morning, compared with, because I heard from some teachers saying the practice of mindfulness throughout the whole day is better than just sitting for 1 hour.
Oh.
So do you agree with that kind of practice?
Well, if you can do that, it's wonderful. I mean, those are ideal situations. If you go for a retreat, usually the situation is ideal. Everybody is doing it, the conditions are right, and it's a very beautiful place. And you have a teacher to guide you. You have a problem, you go to the teacher. Yeah, by all means, you should do that. But on your own, it's difficult, And you can cheat anytime. Nobody will know anyway, So, so it's not easy. Now, you got to look at yourself. Okay, number one, I would advise is if you are new to meditation, you got to look for a place that you like. Maybe nature, maybe a part of your house that you like. Maybe one corner. Some people like sitting facing the wall. They feel good, So you choose that favorite spot and treat it like a shrine. So whenever you go there, you feel peaceful. I have someone living in Bukit Batok on the 8th floor or higher. She sits on the balcony and she sees the top of trees. Wow, beautiful. And this is a special teaching the Buddha gave. It's called forest meditation, You see the top of trees. I don't know whether you have seen the top of trees or not. Really all green, Very beautiful. All right? And also the night sky. Moonless, cloudless, all stars. If you've not seen that, please do. Really beautiful. All stars, I mean, those stars in the sky, not movie stars. Very beautiful, right? So, choose a good place. Place is important. Remember the Buddha's Vajrasana, the Buddha diamond seat under the Bodhi tree. Wow, Mara wanted to get the Buddha to get up, so that he will be distracted from his meditation. The Buddha called you out to witness. Remember, so the Buddha guarded his seat. So your place of meditation, choose a good place, suitable place. Number 2, suitable subject, either breath or loving kindness. Okay, because different personality may like different things. So choose a suitable subject. Number 2. Number 3, don't worry about time. Sit. It's not how long you sit, it's how well you sit. Even 5 minutes a day for beginners is very good. 5 minutes is a long time. 600 seconds, right? I don't know, my maths is bad. Is it 600 seconds?
Yeah,
300 seconds, okay. Okay, right, it's a lot of, quite long for beginners. Number 4, know when to apply the meditation. Especially, let's say, people are ruffled after some problems, especially, let's say, go to funerals. That's a good time for meditation. Okay, you look at this person who has passed away, just say impermanent. Right, there is a famous reflection, As I am, so this was. As this is, so will I be. Right? So you reflect that you connect with this very special moment with this person you know who has passed away. This is called death meditation. So there are many kinds of meditation.
You go to the...
Yes, you look at the face. Yeah, provided you feel comfortable. If you are not, don't do it, okay? Yeah, you must be very calm, all right? You look at it, especially when you know this person, you want to look at this person, you know. Especially in Thailand, when someone passes away, the first thing they do is they put the body in the main hall of the house, usually the house, and then they put the hand out like that, and then close friends and families will come and pour water of dedication, scented water, pour a bit on the hand by way of saying goodbye. You know, the Buddhist act of pouring water is giving. It's called dakino daka. Dakina means giving. Odaka is water, the water of giving. So when you dedicate merits, you are like making offerings to the monks, and then you pour water. You dedicate the merits to all beings. So pouring this water means you wish this person well and happy in the new life, and it's your way of personally saying farewell to this person. You don't say good. Buddhists don't say goodbye, because goodbye means God be with ye. The old English, you know. Farewell, swagata, okay? May you farewell. It's a beautiful way of saying. We welcome new life, we farewell someone who is to be reborn. So you go to this funeral, you wish this person well and happy. May we meet again happily in new circumstances, be well and happy. And as you are, so will I be. As I am, so were you. So you see that connection on impermanence. All right. If you are not used to that, it's okay. Then you just sit in front, and then just reflect. Say, well, this dear friend of mine has now left me. So it's all impermanent. That also is a practice of meditation. It's called anicca sanya. All right. So there are 40 different kinds of meditation. Another one, simple meditation, you do with your eyes open. There are 2 meditations you do with your eyes open. You know. Number 1 is called aloka sanya, perception of light. Let's say you go to in a nice early morning, not so early, I mean say between 9 to 11, beautiful bright place, open space. You sit on the vantage point, and then there is open space, very bright in front of you, but not blinding. It should be pleasantly bright, very bright but pleasant. Then you open your eyes, you say bright, bright. You close your eyes, you picture the brightness, mentally photograph the brightness, bright, open your eyes again, back and forth, until you go home at night. When you're sleepy, you say bright, bright, and then you see this brightness. So if you're sleepy, this helps. If you are studying, this helps also, right? Yeah. Okay, that's called perception of light. Okay, very easy to do. The other one is perception of space, same situation. You go to this very open space, maybe on the top of Mount Faber, looking down, but open space is much better. And then you say space, close your eyes, picture spaciousness in your mind, then you feel spaciousness. So next time you go in a cheap hotel, small little room, space, oh, I feel happy also. You know, all right? Yeah, so these are all helping meditation. They won't bring you jhanas, they won't bring you much things, but they help you to practice other meditation.
So in the minding center on the Facebook page, is it a center by itself? Or?
Yeah, we have a small center about this size also, smaller actually. But sadly or happily, I have to tell you that we are closing it down in August, so that I can focus on my work. Because it's, I have to travel all the way from Jurong East to Shenton House in the city and run all these courses. I mean, I'm already reaching 70, so I think I don't have to do all that. I'd rather just come here, give you talks, and maybe if you like, have meditation sometime, whatever. So I'm cutting down those public activities.
So the minding center is also teaching just one type of meditation?
Yeah, we teach breath and loving kindness. Yeah, we will keep the company name, which... Yes, you have a question?
Yeah, brother, come back to my question.
Okay.
So if we, or maybe if you can do both, either one.
Both meaning breath, loving kindness, is it?
No, sitting.
Oh, sitting.
Compared with, you can do mindfulness of all your thoughts, your actions, the whole day. If you were to pick one, which is more fruitful towards the path, which one would you?
If you can sit longer, it's much better, definitely.
Mindfulness is better.
Okay, all these terms, mindfulness, vipassana, they're modern terms, they're not found in the suttas. The simple answer there is you must know what you're doing and you must know what to do. When you're meditating, then you can sit long. For example, I have a Indian friend who goes for vipassana retreats, you sit for hours there, and he enjoys that. Well, that's fine. If you know what to do, fine. But I also know people who went there and had breakdowns. That's because they're not prepared. They have problems that they did not tell the people who are running it. Then they would have counseled him and then, make him do simple meditation. So not everyone is ready. But if you are ready, it's fine. Sit as long as you can. You must have all the proper trainings. What to do when all these challenges come up to you. If you know all that, yeah, that's fine. You can, as long as you like, then jhana may arise in you. Or this peace, joy may arise in you. The joy, of course, will be either first jhana or you are already going into first jhana. That's also good enough. That's already very powerful. You're so happy with that, you see. All right?
Sorry, my question is actually between sitting down for 1 hour, sitting meditation. Don't do the sitting and just be mindful throughout the whole day. If I can do it, first one is better or second one is better?
A very hard question to answer. Because you will have to sit sometime, you see. If you're talking about a whole day, you have to sit, right? I mean, you can't stand the whole day, can you? I mean,
when I say this sitting meditation for 1 hour, then the other one is mindful.
You need both.
Need both.
Yeah, you need both. Because the daily mindfulness is when you are doing things, when you are working. All right? Remember in the Sampajanya section of the Satipatthana Sutta, Sampajanya, meaning clear comprehension, you're aware of whatever you're doing, putting on the robe, walking, sitting, even in the toilet, you're aware. See, the Buddha actually says you should do that too. At the same time, sitting down also is mentioned in the same sutta. So both are mentioned. So you have to do both harmoniously. When you feel good, you sit cross-legged, body upright, so you can sit very long, focus. And then you find after a long sitting, you're tired, you have to do walking up and down to stretch your legs and also help circulation. And then if you have other work to do, you do it mindfully. So there's another sutta, Upakilesa Sutta, where you have 3 monks, Anuruddha and 2 other monks. They live together, but they observe silence. They're good friends, They observe silent retreat, and yet they work together, do their daily duty mindfully without saying a word, only signaling a little bit if they need help. No word. Only every 5th day they gather together to talk Dhamma. So it's very interesting, these 3 monks, and they became arahats after that. So these are ways. So meditation is something, you can say, something unique to the individual. You got to see how does it work for you. It's like jogging, all those health exercises, This is mental exercise. Check for yourself, you say, okay, this meditation, key question is, am I happy doing this meditation? If you're not happy, then something's wrong. Ask your teacher or ask another teacher, compare notes, and then see where you go from there. All right? But whatever it is, just go on doing it. Even you yourself, you look back. As one thing about as we grow older is when we look back, we begin to understand better what's going on, even though we don't consult the teacher. That's the advantage of impermanence and age. All right, so go on practice, don't give up. All right, anything else? One more question maybe, or is it time yet?
I just because I didn't really go learn all the 14 meditations. I enjoy more in the previous meditation center because they are guided. They teach you already. Then they guide you, they read the passage and then they guide you because it's easy so that you will not move away. So usually it's quite interesting. And but initially when you practice, sometimes you doze off.
Okay, I'll give you one simple solution. You can either copy the recording or you can record it yourself, some of those favorite passages. You don't have to read the whole thing, just read the passage that helps you. And then you just play in front of you. But anything happen to your phone or whatever, don't bother. You must make that rule, okay? Otherwise you end up fiddling the phone and you don't meditate. That's one thing you have to be very mindful. Yeah? Okay. So nowadays you can, I have someone from University of Pennsylvania, this professor, he wrote to me. He wants to appoint me advisor of his group. They are creating this app, breath meditation app, Yeah. So I don't know what his plans are, but they want to use this. Because he's doing geriatrics. Geriatrics means healing old people. Now, old people have problems, so you got psychiatry. This is geriatrics. Yeah. So he's doing this very interesting project. So meditation is very big thing now. So it's very important for us Buddhists. It's our second training of the mind. Precept is body and speech. Meditation is the mind. Yeah. So either meditation or mindfulness. Okay.
Actually, any form in the day, be it music, because sometimes they have meditation music, or may it be something to activate the mind. I think it's the 5 minutes or 10 minutes that you enjoy, and then you can have. I know that is where you like about meditation. It's not about you must go through the 40 and learn the 40. Oh,
too many. Some of the 40 you can't practice by yourself. You need teacher's guide. Yeah. Like for example, you watch the 9 stages of the corpse decaying. Wow, that's you can't find such a body in Singapore anyway. I mean, if you can, it'd be very scary also. And you don't need to. I mean, if you're already very calm, so you don't need to do that. All right? Those are for monks to practice. Yeah, some are for monks, not for us. So you don't have to do all the 40, okay? Yeah. Okay. So anything else? That's all, huh?
Thank you, Brother Piya Tan, for wonderful talk. Shall we now?